I'll make this last short. And me and my father, believe it or not, sometimes we have disagreements and fallouts about. He lost a lot of stuff after him and my mom divorced. Our childhood house, he let it go. That went off 122. I don't know why that was a childhood house. That's the one he should have kept. He had some land in the woods. He went and stayed there. And like I say, for years I watched my mother struggle. Even though she was assistant principal, she struggled to make payments because she was in debt after the first divorce. So people were paying a perception to make things look good for them. I really didn't know my father too much growing up. When I would come down, I went to year-round school. When I would come down, believe it or not, sometimes they would tell me he was on vacation. He would be locked up because he would go to some political party and show out. So sometimes he would be there, but sometimes he would call the house at 9 o'clock. My aunt Diane, she would make sure we would go to town on Fridays to Pizza Hut Pizza Hut there in Tarboro. As I got older, especially when I started, after the flood came in '99, I really it hurt me to come back to really get to see my family like that. And at that time, my mom had just started getting on her feet up there and started buying me decent clothes. Um, and I didn't want to come back and feel like I was showing out in front of some of my family members that I watched them lose everything. So I stayed away for a while. And I started driving. As I got older, I would come down here every now and then. But as I got older, let's see, I went through a bad breakup and I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. Uh, so the place where I was living at the time, I didn't want to be seen out in public. Knowing I went through a bad breakup and the girl had dated at the time, she had moved on. And she got back with her ex. And that people were seeing her around town with her ex. So I kind of was ashamed. So I moved. I started coming back to the area trying to build a relationship to get to know my father. This home here at the time, before my fiance bought it, she was actually living somewhere else. I'm not going to disclose that. That's her. That was her personal. That was pretty much prior before me. But when she purchased this house here, the mortgage on this house was like $240 a month. This house was on $23,000. And I started doing renovations and repairs. I did the air conditioning and heating here. Her stepfather came down. He did replace the floors in certain rooms of the house. Um, and we made the best do. And we considered it a home, really. But when she died, my father said he was going to purchase a home for his grandson and his son. So when he got it, he made it seem good. He got it and did whatever he wanted to with it. It is what it is, man. Um, you live and you learn. Sometimes the ones close to you trust, they're they mean good, but then sometimes they mean good for their own personal gains. And like I say, it is what it is. I know the money I spent over the years sending down the road, taking care. I took care of some of my family members. I've been working since I was 13, calling up on the houses, doing air conditioning heat since I was 13, working on cars, doing repairs on certain family members' cars because they couldn't afford to take them back to the dealership to have them worked on. I'm not a master mechanic, but I have certain cars. There are certain cars I know at the back of my hand. I learned that when I was in high school. You know, I my internship was actually T&K Automotive. I started working on cars there, and I started doing a lot of repairs and on certain cars right there at the house. So I saved up some money, was doing good, called myself trying to be a man, and send some money down the road, take care of some certain family members. But just because you do that doesn't mean that people are going to do it for you in return when you go through hardships. this, you live and you learn, man. And sometimes people that have this thing, they want to show tough love. It's easy to paint a picture and make it look good or make it look bad on another person, because there's always two stories, two sides to every story. I let too many people get close to me, and because I grew up not really knowing my family, I tried to really get, my mother got remarried when I was about 8, and I really didn't know the family. I mean, some of them we grew up like, some of us we grew up like cousins, but as we got older, there were certain family members that let me know that I didn't have any of the same blood in them. So I started distancing myself. I did. I don't have to, I was trying to be me. Trying to the whole bloodline stuff, that's overrated. And the reason why I say that is because when we accept Christ, he accepts us for who we are. It doesn't matter the race, color, your DNA, none of that matters. You're asking for the presence of the Holy Spirit to be upon you. But people don't understand that concept. And people don't preach the word like they used to. Because people don't fear the Spirit. They don't. But if they pay attention to the signs and wonders of things that are going on around us, these natural disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes in strange places, they're getting stronger. Some of that stuff can be created. They said they have ways to do global control, weather control. They say they have a way to do that, but Mother Nature still taking place over everything. That's there. And back when I was making the conversation earlier about when I said something about being cattle, they shift us around certain areas. They're raising the taxes on your properties, increase your utility bills. Some people can't afford them, so they've been forced to move. That's created. A lot of this stuff could be avoided. It really can. If you all work together. I've seen people over a period of time. Some people that go buy big homes that they can barely afford, and basically, when I say be house poor, meaning they just work just to be able to. They're barely making ends meet just to be able to keep a roof over their head. Live within your means. Find a home that you can afford to pay off, so you don't have more money going out. And my resources, I spent a lot of my money. I saved up a lot of money over the years. But when a baby was thrown in the mix, that baby was thrown in the mix almost like a distraction, because they realized I was getting bigger than the program than the older ones ahead of me had laid out. Sometimes they build these family pyramids amongst themselves to try to take control of a region. I'm just trying to be my own man and escape and break generational curses. I know a lot of men in my family, they just worked, but they were never involved physically in their child's life. That's we have to break that cycle in our community. We have to be present. That money can be replaced, but the presence is more valuable. The knowledge that you would instill in that child growing up is more valuable than any gift that you can buy them. One thing I can say about my son, about little man, he prays like a grown man. He's been praying since he's about 2 or 3. All I used to have to say back in the day was, hey, do what I taught you. He goes somewhere and start praying. No matter what situation we're in, I always want him to remember Christ first. That's the foundation. That's the key to life. Y'all continue to be blessed. Stay focused. Feed your spirit, man.